You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, February 2nd, 2023. And after 3 long months, we are ready to go NASCAR racing again and ready to go clashing again in LA. The Rolex 24 is over. What a great race we saw. And the Formula One application process is open for teams. I wonder what team signed up this week. I bet my co-host, Christopher Lehman, can help me with that. Chris, welcome.
Possibly be knocking down the door for Formula One. I can't think of any American-based team that would even be remotely interested. Can you?
There's some IndyCar team, last name Andretti. I think I know who that is. They've only been talking about it like the last 2 years about getting this done. I don't know. I wonder how that's going.
Yeah,
Cadillac signed up with them or something.
I'm worried about having, a team, someone like Andretti who doesn't really have any real racing experience or heritage in their family. It's just really concerning that, these guys could be the face of Formula One here again with really no connection to the sport, obviously.
I know, right? Like, didn't his dad race or something, or I think he won some world championship? I'm not sure.
It was the Nathaniel's hot dog eating championship back in 1978.
Okay, we're gonna stop the sarcasm now. But hey, if you're listening live, make sure you get your comments in on the chat. Thank you so much for being here this evening. We can start right there at Formula One for this evening and the new team's decision, because it was announced today that the application process is open. We're pretty sure Andretti dropped their name in the bucket as soon as it opened, given that has probably been the loudest / only team that has announced, we're coming to Formula One. I think they're the most put together team in recent memory that's trying to come in. So it's going to be in F1's ball. The ball is now in the FIA's court because they're going to have the final determination. They said that FOM might also, or Liberty Media might also have a stake in it, but to be honest, Chris, I just don't see, if everything about that intro for Andretti is good, why deny it?
That's a good question, Darryl, and one that I probably realistically don't have the answer to.
Yeah.
Other than we can talk about American bias, but does that really exist at this point? I think it's probably still there, but I don't think it's as there. I think Formula One definitely sees the dollar signs that we have over here, and the fact that we're willing to spend so much money, to see Formula One or to sport the merchandise. We were actually talking about a little bit before the show started about the cost of merchandise, and I've got, in the last year, I've probably dropped a good couple $100 on Max Verstappen's website, as evidenced by the 6 foot by 8 foot Max Verstappen world champion flag behind me. But we got money over here, and I think that the only apprehension to allow an American team in at this point would be the pure bias of our checkbook. Right now, we're spread out, right?
Yeah.
But if there was an American team like Andretti and they started having some success, a lot of these other teams can say goodbye to the fair weather fans, and at the end of the day, the fair weather fans drop a big chunk of change.
Yeah, and of course, there's the whole thing about the money for the top 10 teams. The people complain about, it's going to hurt our financials. To be honest, y'all only pay the top 10 teams anyway. I really don't know how Andretti's going to do when they come in 2026, if that's what they decide to do. Because I know the opening that the FIA has set up is 2025, 2026, or 2027. Honestly, I would come in 2026 right when the new regulations start. But I don't see Andretti pulling a Haas and slotting everybody in the midfield down one. But at the same time, y'all have been around a lot longer. If the Andretti Cadillac team comes in and takes your chain, step your game up. That's the only thing I can say to you. whatever dip in the funds from stretching it out to 11 teams is going to get built all the way back up when you get the point that you've got 2 American teams. You've got more activation in America now with the teams, not to mention the 3 races once Las Vegas comes online. And Americans like to spend money. So if you got 2 teams, that's double the money being spent by Americans on American teams. And for those that aren't just going to root for the teams that are from America, that's money they can spend on the other teams. So it's going to come back in the long term. But the problem with this whole thing, which has been a problem with a lot of businesses lately, is they're chasing the short money to spike the long money. Netflix is doing that right now to its peril, if you've been paying attention. And I don't want Formula One to do that because we're wasting an opportunity to really grow the sport in a way that we have not had the opportunity to do until Liberty Media took over.
And Darryl, I just want to add, Formula One has one shot to get this right.
Yeah.
If Drive to Survive has been a sensation, and you only have as long as this show is popular to, one, get new people in, but more importantly, you've got millions of people watching this show. You need to keep them retained. That's the only way to succeed. And a lot of us are from the U.S. So you need to, make sure that you're keeping U.S. engagement, because we are a very, very impatient people, right? It's true. And so, they need to be capitalizing, doing everything they can to keep our interest. And if that means getting a U.S. based team and, or 2, maybe, it's possible we could see 2. You need to get those teams in as soon as possible. You shouldn't be lollygagging and saying, hey, maybe next year. You need to say, nope, you're getting here. You need to let them start getting developed and caught up and get that fan engagement, get people interested now, because they're not going to hang around for another 3 to 4 years waiting for something to root for.
Yeah. And the other thing, as we're sitting here with Formula One, and you mentioned Drive to Survive, that time for Drive to Survive not being popular anymore might not be coming soon. I don't know if you paid attention, but Netflix is kind of screwing up right now. Did you see the announcement Netflix had on the account sharing nonsense where you're going to have to sign in at the primary place like once a month or some nonsense to keep logged in if you're going to share your password?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they're doing ridiculous stuff like that. And I bring that up to say a lot of people are going to start cutting Netflix because of Netflix being absolutely stupid towards their towards their customers. That's going to be less eyes that are going to be on Drive to Survive, and that's going to be less money for Drive to Survive. So that show might come to an end soon. You cannot waste this opportunity by the other teams being greedy. You're just going to have to tell them, look, Andretti's coming to play. Be nice.
Yep.
That's the only thing you can tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't really been paying attention to the Netflix thing. And I, my wife and I pay for our own.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the camera there, Darryl.
No, I didn't. I see that.
And so it's not going to affect us, but it's, that's goofy. But when the time comes, maybe we cut Netflix out of our cord too, and we'll have to see. But we're thinking about doing like a rotation. So like doing 3 months Hulu and then cutting off Hulu, doing 3 months HBO, and then just kind of, we got the kid now, so we're probably gonna have to keep Disney Plus around. But
gotta watch those Bluey episodes.
Yeah, luckily we're on YouTube, so we just have to deal with that.
Okay.
But we're thinking about doing like just kind of like a rotation, and doing something for a couple months, switching it up, keeping it fresh, but also only paying for one, maybe two subscriptions at a time. But yeah, it's getting to the point where cutting cable or cutting the subscriptions back and going with cable is actually getting really close to making more sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think we might have already surpassed that, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad because streaming was supposed to cut the cord, but who knows? So we'll come back to the new teams in a minute. We do want to hit the worst kept news in Formula One over the last week, which is Red Bull's getting a new engine manufacturer in 2026 because apparently Ford is coming back to Formula One, and Ford actually ran in a Red Bull sponsored car back in the 90s with Sauber, but now it's going to be Red Bull and Ford join together in 2026. I am surprised to see this because I thought the Honda partnership would continue, but Honda could be that second team now to come in as a factory effort. I'm not going to say if. It's pretty much been confirmed by all sources, and Formula Race Cars is now reporting it right now as we sit in the modern day when we're recording. So Ford is coming in with Red Bull. Now, Red Bull's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting before Ford comes in and puts their badge on the engines. It's too early to think what that's going to do, but new engine manufacturer, pretty exciting. It just adds to the increased American interest at the same time.
Yeah, and the Engine Mode 11 posted about that today, and I posted a kind of a smart ass picture of a big jacked up Ford F-350 Super Duty with an American flag livery on it. And I said, is this what Max and Checo roll up to the USGP with? And it's exciting though, and the Ford one just came so far out of left field. If you asked us 3 weeks ago who would be with Red Bull in 2026, Darryl, I think both of us would have said Honda.
I had said it was Honda coming back the way it was going, especially with their engines winning. So I was not expecting Ford at all.
Yeah, and especially with the big hubbub at the Japanese GP, like you would have thought those contracts were already signed the way that, everything happened at the Japanese GP this past season. But Ford out of left field, but hey, it's an American manufacturer, so that's definitely going to help Red Bull in the short term. They're going to be capturing some U.S. based fans, particularly, if there's any NASCAR fans that are Ford guys, which theoretically is about 1/3 of the NASCAR population, and 100% of the wives, since Blaney's a Ford driver. But those guys might, those people might be going Red Bull Ford now. And you might have just lost some Andretti business because those people are going to be committing to Ford.
Yep.
Hypothetically, of course.
Yeah, and Andretti's bringing Cadillac, so it's kind of like Ford versus GM now comes to the biggest motorsport in the world. Now, whether or not that's going to be real Cadillac engines or Renault badged or Cadillac badged Renault engines, we have no idea. Not that it matters because the Ford engines are just going to be badged Red Bull powertrain engines, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it's still going to be exciting to see those marquees out there. And that brings up the question, who's going to be the second team to come in? Because by FIA regulations, they can have up to 12. Personally, I think it should be 13, but that's neither here nor there. 24-car grid would be the max for Formula One. We know Andretti Cadillac is probably going to be number one. Who's going to be number two? I know there was a Chinese investor that at one point was talking about starting an F1 team. China's economy has not been that great in the last few quarters, so that might not be coming to fruition. I know there's like this weird guy. His first name is Stefan, who pops up every now and then talking about he's going to start his own F1 team, Stefan GP. But from everything I've heard, that might just be he's basically Rich Energy with extra steps. So I'm wondering who's going to come out to put that second application in.
I would have said Audi like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, so they bought into Sauber.
Yep. But yeah, I think you're either going to get a factory team like Honda, or you're going to get, um, like more like a Red Bull, more like a high profile company. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Probably realistically an oil company who starts their own team.
I'd maybe Dodge. I know people bring up Dodge and open wheel. Maybe Dodge starts a Formula One team. That's not going to happen. But
No, not with the buy-in price tag.
no, $200 million to buy in, and they want that higher in the next Concord agreement. I'm like, y'all haven't even gotten the first check. You're trying to boost it because of the growth of Formula One. Like, stop it. Like, y'all being real greedy right now.
Yeah.
And that greed issue is going to start a fight because, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and we talked about it last week, the whole fight over the valuation and Ben Sulayem being called out for possibly meddling in the financials of Formula One. That's a whole mess. Hopefully we can get through this season without a lot of dramas as far as political stuff. But we do go to Saudi Arabia, round number 2, and last year there was an airstrike during FP1. So,
yeah,
who knows? But it will be interesting to see who that second team is going to be. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, who would it be to really come in and do it? I can't really think of anybody else. It might be, we might get a Middle Eastern team.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was referencing with the oil.
Yeah, the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund probably starts a team. Allegedly, they were trying to buy Formula One and WWE, but we'll see.
Maybe Elon Musk starts a team.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's the last thing we need.
That guy. Second to last thing, Darryl. I can think of one worse thing than Elon Musk buying a team.
What's the first?
Dan Snyder.
I don't know.
The look on your face, Darryl. The look on your face says it all.
Look, we're just counting down the time until he's officially gone here in D.C. But he's got to pay off so many lawsuits. He's not going to have the money for that. Not to mention he's also got federal charges for cooking the books. And, God, I can't.
Could you imagine?
I couldn't.
Washington's football team, F1 team.
And I don't want to. But we'll see how that goes. Formula One does not. Okay.
We should do a segment, worst team bosses, and we should just try to come up with the worst of the worst.
I love this idea. We should do that at some point. We do have some time until the other series start up. But Formula One, before we go to break, they are starting all the car reveals. Starting next week. Well, actually starting tomorrow with Red Bull. We already saw one actually with Haas. Red Bull is going to have theirs tomorrow, and then it's just going to be rolling through the first couple of weeks of February as we get down to testing in Bahrain. And this is going to be the time where we get all the random speculation based on pictures on what car is going to be where. And that's always the best part of this period because we're not going to know until qualifying at Bahrain.
Yeah, I was going to say, even through testing, we're not really going to know.
Yeah.
Because last year, Mercedes was great through testing. And then they said, hey, remember those side pods we used at testing? Never mind.
Yep. And then it didn't work.
Yeah. But as far as, just the Haas MoneyGram F1 team, I think it's Haas MoneyGram F1 team now.
Yes.
That car looked good, Darryl.
It did look really good. I like that paint scheme. Kind of throws back to the first couple of years of Haas with all the black on it. But I can't wait to see how that car runs. Hopefully they're a little bit faster because they were up to they were up more in the midfield, got a little bit more money. Now they've got this sponsor is going to help them spend to the cost cap and the new drivers as well. If you're a Haas fan, if you're an American F1 fan, you're excited about what this team could possibly do as far as development.
Yeah, I mean, even just for that reveal, that fresh new livery, I mean, that's a good looking car. MoneyGram's bringing in some money now. I you've got a lot to be optimistic for as a Haas F1 team fan right now. Um, we'll see where we are in Bahrain at FP1, but until then, enjoy the optimism because the car looks great. You got no reason to go into this season thinking anything but you'll be successful. We could say that about any team but Ferrari.
Yeah, I know they already said their engine's going to be a second faster. Well, that's not going to mean much when they're making another pit road mistake. Yeah.
In the simulator, it's the second faster. That's the big difference.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Rolex 24, and an LMP2 team lost an endurance race in the most gutting way you can lose an event. And NASCAR's got some new rules as we get ready for the clash. Sit tight. We'll be right back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Live.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We are back here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Chris with you here this evening as we roll on with this program. And we're going to go into the Rolex 24, and we're going to start with a quick review of all the classes and how the racing went down. Chris, I'm not sure how much you saw of it, but the new GTPs on track looked beautiful. It was another great race in Daytona, and unless you were a BMW or Porsche fan in GT3, it was exciting from start to finish.
Yeah, I tuned in, so I couldn't find the window from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know where it was, but it was not being broadcast on YouTube TV. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I had to wait until 10 o'clock, at which point I was already very tired. And I actually ended up texting you, I think around like 11 o'clock, and said, like, I'm checking out. So half of that was under caution flag anyway. But yeah, I caught like half hour, 45 minutes, which was probably about what I expected to watch, really. And yeah, like you were saying, those GTPs were smooth, though. They were. Oh, and you know what? I caught like an hour in the morning too. I think I watched from like 8:30 to 9:30 or something like that. But yeah, those things were pretty quick too.
They were pretty fast. I enjoyed watching them out on the track. We only had one of them, surprisingly, fall out of the race, which I thought there was going to be more attrition in general, and there really wasn't. We still had 45 cars of the 61-car field running at the end, which for a endurance race is incredible. But everyone was focused on the LMP2 finish. CrowdStrike Racing by APR had the lead coming to the start-finish line of a 24-hour race. And the Proton Competition LMP2 was all Oreca class this year. I just make sure that was right. Yeah, all Orecas this year. Comes up from behind, gets the slipstream, pulls out and passes the CloudStrike car at the start-finish line at 24 hours. The margin of victory in a 24-hour race, 16 one-thousandths of a second.
For anybody wondering, that's a really slim margin.
Yeah, after 24 hours, that should be impossible. You know, usually back in the day, if you were on the same lap as the leader at the end, you were doing good. But with all the waiver rounds with Rolex, with the Rolex 24 and getting the field back together with the LMPs in front, so they get to make laps back up. It keeps more cars on the lead lap in each class. And it's really created the 24-hour sprint that the Rolex 24 feels like. This is something that they would not be able to do at Le Mans because Le Mans is 13 kilometers long, and we don't have time for all the cars to get around to do all that. They got 3 different pace cars following the field, but it was a lot of fun. Except I feel bad for the CrowdStrike team. I said before the break it was the most gut-wrenching way to lose a 24-hour race. And then Chris reminded me of Le Mans 2016.
I like bringing that up.
Yeah,
if only Michael was here to celebrate with us.
Yeah, if only Michael was here for us to torment about the... I'm also a big Toyota fan in the WEC. And I will always remember that day as I was leaving to go to church as the race was ending. Right before service started, I was checking my phone to see if Toyota had won, and it said Porsche won Le Mans. And I'm like, what? Then I get home, get back on the computer, look on YouTube, and see the most devastating end to a 24-hour race I've ever seen in my life. So, and the sad part is, Toyota has won that race several times over since then. The only thing people talk about is 2016 Le Mans, which sucks for them, but we'll see how things go with the 100th. But back to the Rolex 24, the winner of the overall and GTP, Michael Shank Racing, the number 60, Tom Blomqvist, Colin Brown, Elio Castro-Neves, and Simon Pagenaud get the win. Acura 1-2 with the Konica Minolta Acura for Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti, picking up second, 1-2 for Acura. So, new car, third straight win for Acura. They've got something figured out here at Daytona, at least. A good run for both those cars.
Yeah. You said third.
Third straight for Acura.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep, the two Cadillacs were third and fourth, actually third through fifth. And then BMW, their cars were just nowhere to be seen all night. Finished sixth. Only one GTP fell out, and that was the Porsche number 7 with Tandy, Cameron, and Jaminet in the car. That car finished 8th.
How did Scott McLaughlin do?
That car spun, or no, that car had an electrical issue because a water bottle somehow leaked and got on the electronics and shorted the car out on the first lap.
Yeah, but they ended up getting it. I saw it was out there running, though.
Yeah, they ended up getting back running. The 8 ended up finishing 5th in class, 2 laps down, but that is a kick in the pants to put all that work in and a water bottle cost you victory from the word go.
Yeah.
That absolutely stinks. For LMP3, this was a class of there was a big lead and then the leader had issues. 3 hours in, Riley had a comfortable margin when they had a hole in the engine, a catastrophic engine failure on one of those Gibson V8s, which usually doesn't happen. Put them out the race. Then the number 38 Performance Tech Motorsports car built up a 2-lap lead by the time we got to Sunday. But as we got to the morning, the Performance Tech car gearbox issues went from 2 laps up, Chris, get this, to 16 laps down in third.
Wow.
From the thrill of victory to the agony of defeat indeed.
Yeah.
That sucks.
My gosh.
Yep. AWA ended up winning the LMP3 class by 12 laps. That is pretty much the traditional way a endurance race typically ends. In GTD Pro, Cooper McNeil picks up the win for WeatherTech Racing. This is also another exciting GTD finish for the Pro category. The Corvette Racing had control during the 6-hour green flag run for Sunday morning, but a couple of late race cautions, the short run speed kind of was not there for the Corvette. They had great long run pace though, but were unable to keep the WeatherTech Racing Mercedes behind them. And the Vassar Sullivan Lexus that finished third was also in that fight. So there was a great run by all 3 of those teams, but WeatherTech Racing, the Mercedes, comes out ahead. And the heart of racing, number 27, Aston Martin, finally wins at the Rolex for the first time in 12 tries. They've been trying to win this race. Aston Martin Vantage GT3 1-2. Magnus Racing finished second in the 44. But there's also something extra. The race leading GTD finished ahead, Heart of Racing, beat all the GTD pros to be the overall GTD winner and gets the customary pat on the back for being the number 1 of all the GT3 cars. But that has got to be, one, that's great for Heart of Racing to have those bragging rights the rest of the year. But for the GTD Pro teams, the Pro-Ams kind of stole your chain, I think. Because usually they finish behind y'all, and their class leader finished in front of your class leader. That's not a good look for the pro teams. Chris is laughing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the way you put that.
Yeah. I mean, the only difference, honestly, between Pro and AM is the GTD Pro cars are Pro, basically all professional drivers. GT-AM is where we see our lawyers, dentists, executives, business owners racing with pro teams. And basically, the teams that keep sports car racing alive, y'all. But to see those guys get the big win over the pro teams by finishing first at GTD3, That's a great one for them, and I hope they wear that. But
yeah, I mean, I think the other thing to remember is these guys aren't necessarily bums either that only get out on the track once a year. I mean, these people definitely have a passion. They have a passion for what they're doing, and while they're not professional, they definitely have seat time in, and these guys know what they're doing. They're not as amateur as they seem, or as you would think.
Yeah, a lot of them have run the full season. A lot of them have run a couple years. The only reason they're bronze or silver is because this is really just a hobby for them. You know, they've got day jobs, and then they just come do this on the weekend. But even still, there's a lot of those super silvers and bronzes that could give a platinum a run for their money, and platinum the drivers that are just full professional. And it showed there with the finish of the Rolex 24. So, and this is the one thing I hate about the IMSA schedule. So we get this great race last weekend. They're not on the track again until March for the Sebring 12-hour. I wish there was and I guess with all the work that goes in the Rolex 24, you don't really want to race that quickly after it. But I wish there was something we could do to get like a sprint race or something in there in February to where we can like run something to keep that momentum going into Sebring and then into the rest of the season. But they'll get back racing.
Even if you run like a 6 hour or something, or 12, just something to get the cars on track and you know, keep people interested. Not interested, but you know what I mean.
I mean, you could do a 40 hours of Florida. I mean, Homestead does have a road course, a really good road course, like Roval that they actually put some thought and effort into. So you could really go run that if they want to. You've already got everybody there in Florida. You run it like, see, but the problem is you've got NASCAR coming in for Daytona. So you have to run it the week before Daytona, and the teams are already beat up from 24 hours. They're not going to want to turn around and go back and run at Homestead.
Well, and you got like speed weeks, and they're taking your thunder too. I mean, really, the only option will be the week after.
And by then, everybody's trying to get ready for Sebring.
Yeah, there's not enough time to kind of get things switched over, and you know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is. So I get why they don't have the race there, but I just wish there was something they could do. But,
They should go run Martinsville.
Oh, God, no. I mean, that would be fun, but we might get to see Martinsville in the rain, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll get that, we'll have more IMSA in March at the 12-hour. Can't wait. And also, WEC will be there that weekend as well, so we'll get to see the hypercars in action along with them on that Friday, and then it'll be the Sebring 12-hour on Saturday.
Yep.
So NASCAR, we'll go into that next. They have new rules coming into 2023. The Clash is this weekend. We're all excited about that. A couple of new rule changes. We're not going to go through all of them. We're going to hit the cliff or the important parts of this. The first one, I think we all saw this one coming, Chris. I think we said this the week it happened. The Hail Melon has been banned.
As you want to just refresh people who may not remember the Hail Melon?
Yeah, of course. If for those of y'all that don't remember, Ross Chastain bonsai'd into turns 3 and 4 at Martinsville on the final lap to get into the championship 4 by wall riding, and I'm actually watching a clip of it right now. It still doesn't look real, by the way, of him wall riding around turn 3 and 4 to pass the 2 cars required to get into the championship 4. NASCAR has decided to ban that move under a rule that governs unsafe actions during the race. It would end up being a time penalty if someone else tried it. Now, I get it for sporting rules, and I did a TikTok about this. For sporting rules, it kind of makes sense, but also, that could have went really, really wrong, and it almost did, because he did run into the back of Brad Keselowski. So I understand why they kind of had to say, look, that was cool, but don't do that again. Please don't do that again.
Yeah, and I think it was also really honorable when they said that because it's now an illegal move to do, that they were also going to remove it from all promotional videos. I think that was a really honorable thing to do, is they're not going to show the replays anymore.
That stinks, but
no, that's a complete joke.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. They will never stop showing that. Go ahead. Just like it only took us 3 years to stop seeing Ryan Newman's Daytona wreck. Of course, we'll see. We got another couple weeks to see if that returns. But you know what I mean?
Going back to Daytona, you know we're going to see it. You absolutely know we're going to see it.
I just wonder if we're going to talk about it during the broadcast, which we probably will.
I mean, Newman's not even in the series anymore, so I hope not.
I know, but we like to talk about every accident that's happened at every track. Specifically, the worse the better.
Yeah, at least they haven't, talked about Dale in a while, Senior.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, done milked enough blood from that stone, but Chastain, it'll live on in the replays and it'll live on in our hearts, but we won't see it again. Other changes for the rules this year include the top 30 rule to get into the playoffs, no longer a thing. Now, all you have to do is start all the races. You win a race, you're in the playoffs. I like this, but Daytona and Talladega and now Atlanta just became demolition derbies.
More than they already were.
Yeah, more than they already were, because the Spires and the Rick Ware Racings and the Live Fast of the world now know they can make the playoffs by winning that race. Do not let a late race caution happen in one of those 6 races this year, or somebody's going to the fence.
Yeah, absolutely. What they should have also done was say that if you cause a wreck in those races and you get out scot-free, you can't win.
Believe me, that's something they've needed to do for a while as far as wrecking, but don't get me started on that because I'm just going to get mad about Bubba getting suspended again. But it's something that's going to be interesting to see. Another thing that's going to be interesting to see, of course, is going to be they're finally relenting on removing stage cautions for road courses. So for all the Cup Series road courses and for the Xfinity companion races, there will be no stage cautions. However, for the standalone races, there will be separate stage cautions, but I wonder if this is going to be the first stage of getting rid of those completely, because they do mention in the story on NASCAR.com, they did review fan council data about the stage cautions, and fans do not like they're indifferent on the stages. They do not like the caution part of it, and that might be going away as it looks.
I agree, and I think especially on road courses, I mean, the thing that really makes road courses interesting and challenging is the fuel strategy, and they've effectively eliminated that from the book. All you got to do is qualify well and not screw it up. Yes. It's as close as we get to Monaco in NASCAR. Qualify good, don't screw up, and you're going to finish good. And so I think this is good. I think this is going to help make road courses interesting. We got enough of them on the schedule that we had to. And I can remember back to I think it was Road America when we had the world's longest caution. It was a stage break.
Jesus, the stage breaks took 40 minutes.
I was gonna say, my kid took a whole goddamn nap in one stage break, and I'm just like, what the hell? It was 30, 40 minutes. It was the most ridiculous thing. And so, as far as I'm concerned, good riddance to stage breaks on road courses. Now, at intermediates and stuff, I say go for it, but I also don't want those laps to count against the lap count. And I hate how we knock off 5 laps every time there's a caution. I don't want caution laps to count on the race total to begin with at all.
Yeah.
I hate that.
We'll see what they decide to do. My one issue or not really my one issue, what I think we might see him go away completely. I mean, 1.5 miles now, we're getting plenty of cautions per stage with the cars being so loose. You know, they don't grip the track like they used to, so we're starting to see single car spins. They're getting side by side again, so we are seeing a little bit of contact and drivers getting in the wall and cautions that way. So I could see the elimination of the stage caution completely. I don't think a lot of people would not mind that at all. But this is probably the trial run, and if it's light, I think we'll see more of them go away.
What are your thoughts on the competition caution? Like that, came in, and then it just seems like it's not leaving.
Okay, I know they did it last year a lot because of the tires, because of new car. I know how you fix that. You put more practice time in.
No.
I don't know why we cut down practice, and that just reminded me of something that made me mad. Why do we have no pre-qualifying practice for the Daytona 500?
Really?
There's no pre-qualifying practice this year. The only 2 practice sessions are after the duels. So
you basically run what you brung.
You show up, you qualify, you run what you brung for the duels. You don't get a chance to tune on it until the 2 practice sessions, or the 1 practice session on Friday, that's at 5:40, so that doesn't help you any for trying to figure out the car. Then the next practice is going to be at 10:30 something on Saturday.
What the hell's the point of even having practice at this point?
You tell me, bro. I don't get it.
Oh my! These guys don't even get 1 lap on the track before they go qualify.
Don't get.
Who the hell thought of that?
And here's the thing: Travis Pastrana hasn't run a Cup car before. His first opportunity with the gearing is going to be trying to get up to speed for qualifying. And the teams have talked about in the last recent years how getting through those gears in the right cadence is pivotal for how you're going to do your qualifying lap. So he's got to try to figure that out with a new shifter, a new digital dash, and everything on his run up to the qualifying lap. I get NASCAR. I get the whole you're trying to save the team's money. You cannot cut costs into profitability. You're going to have to give up some money, whether it be TV, whether it be doubling the purses. Y'all are going to have to give the teams more money because you are cutting now into the DNA of the actual event. That hurts the teams, that hurts the drivers, and that hurts us, the fans. Y'all got to come up off some money. I don't know what else to tell you. But what's going on right now doesn't work.
Shorten the race calendar. We don't need 30. We don't need 36 races. Let's try 30. Cut 6 right off the top. Let's take about 100 laps off a race and give them 2 sessions and say you got 50 practice laps.
Right.
Between 2 sessions, you get 50 laps. I think that'd be fair.
Be fair for everybody.
But the biggest thing, cut the calendar down. Give us a summer break like Formula One. Give us 2 to 3 weeks in the summer during, the July heat, the August heat. Give us a couple weeks to be able to do something. Give us a couple weeks off.
They're trying to expand it to over 40. So
I will stop watching. 36 is too many. I've gotten to the point where I don't watch them all anymore.
Yeah. 42 is too many. 40. They want 40. This is the rumor. 40 points races and then the exhibition events. Absolutely, positively freaking not.
So you're talking about 10 weeks in the whole year off.
Yeah. Because they're not going to give them any more off weeks.
So it's the sustainability of the sport, which has probably got to become a thing eventually. We have to start thinking about sustainability. And I get that we do like the West Coast, they try to lump 3-4 together for the West Coast swing, and that's fine and dandy, but my God, sustainability.
40 races.
At least Formula One tries to pretend to care about it. At least they have the buzzwords.
Yeah, they got the buzzwords down, but
that's fine. That's all they need.
Yeah, I just can't see 40 races as a thing.
But what I don't get is, and this is going to become more than it is, but we're already talking about sponsors having issues, right?
Yes.
So let's extend the season out, make them shell out even more money.
Yeah, because you're not coming off any TV money.
Yeah. So now sponsors have to shell out more money for more races. That seems like a terrible idea. You're gonna run yourself out of business if you expand it. That's my thought, is you will bleed your sponsors dry to the point where they cut ties with the sport. And then go to Formula One that has 20 races. They got half races.
Also, who's going to put this on TV? Like
Google.
Fox is
Amazon, right? Somebody's coming in with a third leg, I saw.
The rumor is Amazon might get some races, but my thing is Fox has football in the fall. They don't have the teams to spare to do NASCAR in the fall with all their football commitments. Yep. NBC, they're doing races, but how far are you going to go into the season? Like, how long is this season going to go? Are we going to go past Thanksgiving now? We're going to go into December?
They'd probably just get 1 week a month off. Is probably what it would be.
I don't see drivers sticking around for that, especially all these drivers now that got kids. I don't see them sticking around for that.
No. What you might see is split drivers. You might see drivers do 20 and 20. At that point, what they should do is just split the series.
You might as well. Do a summer series and a winter series.
Yep, and the drivers can stick around for both if they want, or they can leave. But my God, 40 races, that's insufferable.
Like, that's too much. And I'm a racing fan saying that. Like, eventually there's a limit to where you're oversaturating your product. 40 races is complete oversaturation. They need to come down to 36. No, they're already at 36. They need to come down to 32.
You've got IndyCar and Formula One that could definitely use a couple more dates each, but not many.
Formula One's good where it's at.
Yeah, I could see them adding a race or two, right? But no more.
Yeah, but where? They have all that international travel.
Yeah, but I think they could make legs though, and make of it. Do like a North America, South America leg where they come in and do, Brazil, Mexico, however many U.S., Canada, do that in kind of like the May and June, leading up, or June, July as you lead up to the summer break, and maybe you end the summer break in Montreal. You start down in South America and just kind of work your way north. I mean, something like that would work. And then for Europe, I mean, they're all a stone's throw away from each other anyway.
Yeah.
And then you start off the season in the Middle East and you end the season in the Middle East because that's where the weather's consistent. And I would say you probably try to leave Monaco where it is in terms of date wise.
Can we leave it off the schedule?
No, we can't, Darryl. In fact, we're gonna add another one.
No.
But and then IndyCar, I mean, they could stand to gain a couple.
IndyCar needs a couple more.
They really do, and they need to not be on Peacock. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because that's a real kick in the shorts to those of us that don't have Peacock.
Yeah.
And want to watch IndyCar. Like, I admit that I don't watch much IndyCar, but I want to. Because Scott McLaughlin. I want to watch Scott McLaughlin, but I can't do that.
Yep. We'll see what they decide to do. Some other rule changes include we're actually getting a rain package at short ovals. If the track is damp at the Las Vegas Memorial Coliseum, there's no rain in the weekend for this weekend. Martinsville, New Hampshire, North Wilkesboro for All-Star, Phoenix, Richmond, the Milwaukee Mile, and Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. NASCAR's Touring Series will have rain gear on or available for those races. Now, we're finally going to answer the question, can NASCAR run rain tires on ovals? I'll be interested to see what happens and how they decide to do it. If it's a steady rain, will they just keep them out there? Will they park them? How is this going to work? Because this is something we've never done before with NASCAR, running rain tires on a short oval. And will these tires stand up? We got a lot of questions to answer with this, Chris, but I think at all these races, we'll be watching that radar.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what we end up doing and how realistic it actually is. Obviously, having rain tires does not necessarily mean you're going racing in the rain. Ask Formula One like 7 times last year.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll see. I look forward to trying it though, and I hope that if the conditions allow that they do give it a shot. But obviously, if we're talking Coda from 2 years ago, let's not do that again.
Oh, if it's that bad, absolutely not. I mean, that weather was ridiculous. And good on NASCAR. We're trying to race through it, but it just was not happening.
Yeah.
So we do have the race this week. All the 36 charter cars are heading out to LA for the Clash. That'll be on Sunday night, which annoys me to no end because some of us have to work the next day, NASCAR, but whatever. I'm not as excited as I was last year, obviously because, last year was the first one. Now it's kind of part of the furniture. It is still going to be a good welcome back race, I think, for everybody. I hope Bubba has a much better day than he did last year, but what's your feeling on it, Chris?
I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it, but if the stars align, it's on, and I don't really have anything else going on, I'll probably watch it, but I'm not going to cut out time and say to, my wife, hey, I need to sit down and watch this.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
It's a really slow track if you think about it.
It really is.
I think they maxed out at like 80 miles an hour.
Yes.
Or 60. I think it was actually like 60. I don't remember.
I mean, it's a short oval around a football field.
Yeah. Either way. It's...
Yep.
Yeah, I watched last year, and I think I understand what it'll be this year.
We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll see a lot more hands throwing by guys in the LCQs because that was the most fun last year, is watching them try to destroy each other during those. But
yep,
we will see what happens. But we're gonna get ready to get on out of here. You can see the Clash on Fox this weekend. If you're looking for us on Twitter, obviously I'm at DK Jr. 12. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Make sure you keep it locked to all of our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And make sure you follow the show pages as well. And if you've missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, make sure you check out Anywhere Podcasts Can Be Heard and the YouTube repository, which has a copy of every episode from every show we've ever done. So make sure you go and check that out. But that will be the checkered flag for this edition of The Extra Mile. For Chris, I'm Darryl. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.